Listen, let me tell y'all something real quick. Life ain't waiting on you. The world keeps moving, whether you're learning or not. But let me ask you this. How you gonna win if you don't know the rules? How you gonna grow if you don't water your own mind? See, a lot of people think education stops when you leave school. They say, oh, I got my diploma, I'm good. No, you ain't. Life don't care about no piece of paper. You gotta keep learning every single day. I don't care how old you are, how much you think you know, there's always more to learn. Learning never stops. See, a lot of people think education is something you do for a little while, get a degree, and then you're done. But that's the biggest mistake you can make in life. The world doesn't stop moving just because you stop learning. Everything around you is changing, evolving, getting better, getting faster. And if you're not keeping up, you're getting left behind. That's the truth. Think about it. Look at technology. 10 years ago, things weren't moving as fast as they are now. The way we communicate, the way we do business, the way we even entertain ourselves has changed. The people who succeed are the ones who keep learning, who stay on top of things, who don't let themselves become outdated. The ones who fail, they're the ones who thought they knew enough, stopped learning, and then one day woke up realizing the world passed them by. It's not just about technology, it's about life, it's about business, it's about relationships. Everything in life requires continuous learning. You ever seen somebody try to raise a child using the same mindset their parents had 50 years ago? That child is going to grow up in a completely different world. What worked back then might not work now. That's why you see people struggling, frustrated, not understanding why they can't seem to get ahead. They didn't keep learning. Look at successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, entertainers, leaders. The best ones, the ones who stay on top, they never stop learning. They're constantly improving their skills, expanding their knowledge, and adapting to new situations. The ones who fall off, they're the ones who got comfortable, thought they had it all figured out, and then got hit with the reality that the game had changed. Some people are out here thinking, I already know everything I need to know. No, you don't. The moment you think you've learned enough, you've already started losing. The moment you stop feeding your mind starts starving. And a starving mind makes bad decisions, stays stuck in the past, and never grows. You have to make a decision every single day to educate yourself. Read something. Watch something valuable. Learn a new skill. Listen to someone who knows more than you do. Because the more you learn, the more opportunities you see. A lot of people think they don't have opportunities, but the truth is they just don't recognize them because they haven't educated themselves enough to see what's in front of them. People will spend hours scrolling on their phones, watching videos, getting entertained, but won't take 5 minutes to learn something that could change their future. They'll binge watch TV shows for days, but won't take a moment to read a book that could teach them how to be financially free. They'll talk about wanting a better life, but won't take action to educate themselves on how to get there. It's not about not having time, it's about priorities. And if you're not prioritizing learning, then you're prioritizing staying the same. Some folks think learning is just for young people. wrong. They think once they hit a certain age, it's too late to start learning something new. That's nonsense. You are never too old to grow. You are never too old to improve. Some of the most successful people in the world started learning new things later in life. It's not about when you start. It's about whether you're willing to start at all. You ever notice how the people who never stop learning always seem to have something going for them? They always seem to know what's next, always have a plan, always making moves. That's because knowledge gives you confidence. It gives you power. It allows you to walk into any situation and say, I got this. Because you've done the work, you've prepared yourself, you've learned what you needed to learn. But the people who stop learning, they're the ones always scared of change, scared of the future, scared of taking risks. Not because they're not capable, but because they haven't educated themselves enough to trust in their own ability to figure things out. The only way to get rid of that fear is to keep learning. The only way to stay ready is to stay growing. Every single day, life gives you a choice: learn and grow, or stay the same and fall behind. Nobody's going to force you to educate yourself. Nobody's going to sit you down and make sure you're keeping up. That's on you. If you want more out of life, you have to put more into your mind. Success requires knowledge. A lot of people want success, they dream about it, they talk about it, but they don't understand that success isn't something you just stumble into. It's not something that happens by accident. You don't just wake up one day and suddenly have the life you've always wanted. Success is something you have to earn. And the way you earn it is by knowing what you're doing. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's useless. You can have the best ideas, but if you don't know how to execute them, they mean nothing. You can have ambition, drive, and determination, but if you don't have the knowledge to back it up, you're just running in circles. That's why you see so many people working hard but not getting anywhere. They're putting in the effort, but they don't have the knowledge to make that effort count. Knowledge is what separates the people who succeed from the people who stay stuck. The ones who win in life are the ones who take the time to learn how to win. They study, they research, they figure out what works and what doesn't. They don't just rely on luck or natural ability. They invest in themselves. They take courses, read books, watch successful people, and apply what they learn. They understand that the more they know, the more they can do. Some people think success is just about working hard, but hard work without knowledge is just wasted energy. You can work hard digging a hole, but if you don't know why you're digging, where to dig, or what to do with that hole once it's dug, you've just wasted your time. Smart work beats hard work every time, and smart work comes from knowledge. The more you educate yourself, the more strategic you become. You start to see opportunities where other people see obstacles. You start making better decisions, and those decisions lead to better results. The people who stay broke, the people who stay struggling, the people who stay frustrated with their lives, they're not stupid, they're just uninformed. They don't know the rules of the game they're playing. They don't know how money works. They don't know how to manage time. They don't know how to improve their skills. They don't know how to build connections. It's not because they can't learn. It's because they haven't made the decision to. Some folks think knowledge is just about school, but school only teaches you so much. The real knowledge, the kind that leads to success, is the kind you go out and get for yourself. It's the kind you pick up from experience, from mentors, from reading, from trying and failing and then figuring out why you failed. School might give you a foundation, but life is what builds the rest of the house. And if you stop learning after school, you're living in a house with no roof, no windows, no doors, just an empty frame with nothing protecting you. Look at the most successful people in the world: business leaders, athletes, entertainers, innovators. They don't stop learning just because they made it. They don't assume they know everything. They keep studying, they keep practicing, they keep improving. The minute you think you know it all is the minute you start losing. The moment you stop growing is the moment you start falling behind. That's why you see some people rise to the top and stay there, while others make it for a little while and then disappear. The difference is knowledge. Some people don't even realize they're blocking their own success because they refuse to learn. They think they already know enough. They don't ask for advice. They don't look for new strategies. They don't take the time to study their craft. And then they wonder why they keep hitting the same wall over and over again. Success requires knowledge. And knowledge requires humility. You have to be willing to admit that you don't know everything. You have to be willing to listen, to ask questions, to seek out the information you need. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, or what challenges you face. Knowledge can change everything. If you learn how to manage money, you can build wealth. If you learn how to communicate, you can open doors to new opportunities. If you learn how to develop your skills, you can become irreplaceable. Everything you want is on the other side of the knowledge you don't have yet. Surround yourself with wisdom. The people you spend time with will determine the direction of your life. If you're always around negativity, laziness, or small thinking, that's what's going to rub off on you. But if you put yourself in the presence of wisdom, of people who think bigger, do more, and know more, you will start to elevate. You don't grow by staying in the same place with the same people who refuse to grow. A lot of people are stuck in life not because they're incapable, but because they're surrounded by the wrong voices. They take advice from people who have never been where they're trying to go. They listen to friends and family who don't understand their vision. They get caught up in conversations that add nothing to their future, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, uninspired, and unmotivated. The truth is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Growth happens when you're challenged, when you're learning from people who are ahead of you, when you're pushed to think differently. If everyone around you is comfortable, you'll stay comfortable too. If nobody in your circle is striving for more, then you'll start to believe that staying where you are is enough. But when you start surrounding yourself with people who are winning, who are disciplined, who are always looking to improve, that energy becomes contagious. You start to see possibilities you never saw before. There's a reason successful people spend time with other successful people. They know that who they allow into their space affects their mindset. They're not sitting around gossiping or complaining about life. They're discussing ideas, strategies, and solutions. They're sharing knowledge, pushing each other forward and holding each other accountable. That's what wisdom does. It sharpens you, stretches you, and makes you better. Some people will hear this and think, but I've known my friends forever, or my family doesn't think like that, but I can't just leave them behind. It's not about cutting people off, it's about being intentional with your time. You can love people from a distance and still choose to grow. You don't have to abandon your relationships, but you do have to set boundaries. If a conversation isn't helping you grow, you don't have to engage in it. If the people around you don't support your goals, you don't have to share your dreams with them. Protect your energy, protect your vision, and be mindful of who gets access to your mind. The easiest way to elevate your thinking is to expose yourself to people who think at a higher level. That doesn't always mean direct mentorship. Sometimes it means reading books by people who have done what you want to do. It means watching interviews, listening to podcasts, and studying successful individuals. In today's world, there's no excuse not to have access to wisdom. The knowledge is out there, but it's up to you to seek it. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they can figure everything out on their own. That kind of thinking keeps you struggling longer than you need to. There are people who have already made the mistakes, who have already learned the lessons, and who have already paved the way. Learning from them saves you time, energy, and frustration. But you have to be willing to humble yourself and listen. Some people are too prideful to seek wisdom. They think asking for help makes them weak. They don't want to admit that they don't have all the answers. But the truth is, real strength is knowing when you need guidance. Real intelligence is understanding that there's always more to learn. The most successful people in the world are still students of life. Always looking to gain new knowledge, always surrounding themselves with people who can teach them something new. If you want to grow, you have to be willing to change your environment. You have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and put yourself in spaces where wisdom is flowing. That might mean joining a new group, attending events, or reaching out to people who inspire you. It might mean leaving behind certain habits, certain conversations, or even certain relationships that no longer serve your future. The people you choose to be around will either push you forward or pull you backward. Life is the real test. School gives you lessons and then tests you on them, but life tests you first and teaches you later. Every challenge, every setback, every mistake is a lesson disguised as a test. The problem is, most people don't see it that way. They get frustrated, they complain, they ask, why is this happening to me? Instead of asking, what can I learn from this? That's why some people stay stuck in the same situations over and over again, because they keep failing the same test without learning the lesson. Every situation you go through is trying to teach you something. When you struggle with money, it's teaching you financial discipline. When you deal with difficult people, it's teaching you patience and communication. When you experience failure, it's teaching you resilience and adaptability. But if you ignore the lessons, life will keep giving you the same test until you pass. The people who grow, the people who succeed, are the ones who pay attention. They don't run from challenges. They embrace them as opportunities to get better. The way you handle life's tests determines what level you get to next. Some people see problems and let them break them. Others see problems and use them to build strength. The difference isn't luck, talent, or intelligence, it's mindset. If you believe life is just happening to you, you'll always feel like a victim. But if you understand that life is testing you to make you stronger, you start approaching challenges differently. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you start asking, what do I need to learn to get through this? That shift in thinking changes everything. Some people wait for life to get easier, but life doesn't work that way. The problems don't stop, you just get better at handling them. The only way to get better is by learning from every experience. The people who succeed are the ones who take the time to reflect. They look back at their mistakes and figure out what went wrong. They analyze their failures and make adjustments. They don't just move on without thinking. They study their own lives the way a student studies for an exam. That's why they keep progressing while others stay stuck. Life's tests come in different forms. Sometimes they come as setbacks. You lose a job, a business fails, a relationship falls apart. Sometimes they come as opportunities disguised as challenges. You get a promotion you don't feel ready for. You're asked to lead something outside your comfort zone. You're given a chance that scares you. Every single one of these situations is testing whether you're ready for the next level. The people who pass the test are the ones who step up, figure it out, and grow through it. The ones who fail are the ones who let fear, doubt, or frustration hold them back. Most people think success is about talent, but talent alone doesn't get you anywhere. Plenty of talented people never make it because they didn't develop the mindset to push through life's tests. Discipline, perseverance, and emotional intelligence matter just as much as skill. That's why you see people with less talent rise above people who seem more gifted, because they learn how to handle life's challenges. They didn't quit when things got hard. They didn't run when things got uncomfortable, and they didn't stop learning when they hit a roadblock. Some of the most successful people in the world failed more times than the average person even tried. The difference is they treated failure as a lesson, not a final result. They used every setback to gain wisdom. They understood that life wasn't trying to break them, it was trying to shape them. That's why they kept going when others gave up. The truth is, life is always going to test you, but every test has a purpose. It's either teaching you something you need to know or preparing you for something greater. The only way to fail is to ignore the lesson. Take responsibility for growth. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to do the work for you. If you want to grow, if you want to improve, if you want to build a better life, that responsibility falls on you. Too many people go through life waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for someone to guide them, waiting for luck to come their way. But waiting doesn't create results. Action does. And the sooner you realize that your growth is your responsibility, the sooner you can start making real progress. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen just because time passes. Some people think that just because they're getting older, they're getting wiser, but that's not true. Growth requires effort. It requires intention. You have to make the decision every single day to get better, to learn something new, to challenge yourself. If you're not actively working on improving yourself, then you're staying the same. And if you're staying the same, you're falling behind. Nobody is going to hand you knowledge. You have to go get it. Nobody is going to teach you everything you need to know unless you seek it out. Successful people don't wait for information to come to them. They go after it. They read, they listen, they ask questions, they surround themselves with people who can help them grow. They don't make excuses about why they can't learn something. They find a way to learn it. That's why they keep moving forward while others stay stuck. Some people say they want to grow, but they don't want to put in the work. They want the results, but they don't want the process. They want success, but they don't want to go through the discomfort that comes with learning, failing, and adjusting. Growth isn't easy. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires doing things you don't feel like doing. But that's the price of improvement. If you only do what's comfortable, you'll never grow beyond where you are. People who take responsibility for their growth don't make excuses. They don't blame other people for what they don't know. They don't wait for someone to teach them. They figure it out. They take control of their time, their habits, and their mindset. They understand that nobody owes them success. If they want it, they have to earn it, and that starts with personal responsibility. One of the biggest traps people fall into is thinking that they'll grow when their situation changes. They say, I'll start learning when I have more time, or I'll work on myself when life gets easier. But growth doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. You have to start where you are with what you have. If you're waiting for life to get easier before you take responsibility for your growth, you'll be waiting forever. Your growth is in your hands. It's not up to your boss, your parents, your friends, or your circumstances. It's up to you. You decide how much you learn. You decide how much effort you put into improving yourself. You decide whether you stay the same or evolve into the person you were meant to be. And that decision is made every single day through your actions, your choices, and your mindset. Consistency is the key. Most people don't fail because they aren't talented or smart enough. They fail because they aren't consistent. They start something, but they don't stick with it. They get excited about a goal, but when the excitement fades, they stop putting in the work. They make progress, but then they get distracted